वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी का वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Thank you for joining us, my friends, on our regular sessions, our meditation sessions. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all enjoying the show, and hope you're also seeing the benefits of doing these sessions uh, weekly, and how if it's helped you. And I've had really wonderful uh, support and comment from people where they feel that these meditations have helped them. These talks that we've been doing has helped them to one, look at what is going on, but also to prepare themselves. So if you remember that when we started back in I don't know, March was it, that we began with saying that, look, yes, there is this stuff going on. It's fear based, etc. However, it's going to change. It gives you time to improve yourself, to get yourself together, to ensure that you're ready to take care of your own health. That by the end of May, we will start seeing some of this stuff easing up a bit. And on cue, it looks like, yep, we're towards the end of the month of May. And certainly in the UK, we are starting to now see that not is there some level of anger that's arising because of the injustices, the way things are being played out in front of us, but also in terms of the restrictions are starting to be eased a little bit. However, as we've said to you before, we're in an energetic change. We're in an energetic change, and we're going to see a lot of chaos as we move along this. And people are starting to see the effect of being isolated, etc. But those people who've been having some kind of a consistent practice have had this group process of motivating themselves, of keeping on the same kind of page, have started to see the benefits of this, have started to see the benefits of what it means to be in charge of your health. Look, as much as you'd like to believe, as much as you'd like to believe that other people are responsible for your welfare, the truth of the matter is only you are. And if you give this authority, this power away to others, you have no control over, then you will find that the consequences are quite harsh. And this dissonance, now what is dissonance? Dissonance is when things that are going on around you do not conform to your belief system. So our belief systems are now starting to be challenged and are going to be challenged. So it's important to recognize that it helps to have a neutral attitude at this side. Do not accept what you think to be true to be true. It may not be the case. The authorities, the drug makers, the vaccination makers, the propaganda machines, all of these are playing to the agenda of money, because what motivates this stuff is profit. Profit is the bottom line. As long as I'm making a profit, then it doesn't matter. As long as we are saving costs, as long as we are doing this, it's the same story. The motive is always profit. And profit is the lowest denominator. Do you think you can eat money? Your life is being eroded. Your health is being compromised with the foods, with GMO, with pollution. There's no questioning about authority. The sad events that we witnessed over the last couple of days in America, how someone in authority killed someone, and the consequence riots that have taken place. This kind of injustice has to stop. It has to stop. Either we speak truth or we suffer the consequences. And this whole process that we are all being guided through, for some are being guided through, for some are being traumatized through, is a process that is going to go up and down. So there are moments when we are under intense pressure, intense anxiety, intense fear, and then it eases a bit, and then it goes again, and then it eases a bit. This is what we will probably and most likely be subject to over the next few months, and perhaps even the next 18 months or so. And why is this important? Is because fear is the actual controlling mechanism. But fear, if you remain in fear too much, you become used to that fear. So, in order to induce fear, one has to be taken out of the fear and then induced again, out of them, induced again. That way, you are much easier to control. It's like sheepdog controlling sheep, barks this side, then goes this side, and then barks this side. Same process is here. Fear is the process of control. Fear is the mechanism of control. Now, fear is only a mechanism of control if you remain in fear. So we have tried very hard over the last few months to try and first recognize that this fear is real. It's telling you something. It's a feedback mechanism. So we've learned how to dissolve it and move it rather than it becoming anger. So fear was a real fear. It's a fear that demands that you take some personal responsibility for your health and well-being. But this fear does not demand that you socially isolate from everyone. This fear doesn't. There are many contagious diseases in this world. Many contagious diseases. Of course, this particular number has been manipulated as much of the research is starting to show. But having said that, the body and the human system and the environment always balances itself out. You can poison waste grounds for years and maybe for hundreds of years or hundreds of thousands of years. It may not produce life, but sooner or later, life will reclaim it because everything goes back to balance. That's the nature of the world. And what we are going through is this space of balance, energetic balance. Consciousness is shifting, paradigm is changing. What does that mean? And we spoke about this months ago, that what we're entering is that when we look back, it will seem like that was another world. We didn't live like that, did we? And this is going to become more in a few months' time. When we look back at the end of May, we will say, "What did we live like that?" Because it's a paradigm change. We are. It's like a leaping or changing floors in terms of our consciousness. And what this demands is a better understanding of ourselves. What this demands is for us to shed our belief system. All belief systems are based on lies. All belief systems, per se. Belief is by default a lie. This is why it has the word lie in the middle. Belief means I don't know, but I will take your word for it and I will believe it. Now, the same is true with our thinking. We think something about this person is a great person. We believe that to be the truth. Or this person will look after my health and well being. We believe that. And then the way we have been, particularly in the Western world, the indigenous community isn't quite like this. The indigenous community can think for themselves. But those who have gone through the schooling system, now remember that word, schooling. School, what do you have? You have schools of fish. School means all of you think together in the same way. You swim together in the same way. It takes out creativity. It gives you models of thinking. And if you think outside those frameworks, then you are a conspiracy theorist, you are lost your mind, you're a hippie, you're a tree hugger, all these different words that are used to maintain the paradigm. Well, this paradigm, my friends, is falling apart, and I can't wait for it. And every day, a little bit of it's chipped away. And as it falls apart, we are going to learn more about what it means to be human. And this stuff that we're doing with the health, this is just the first section. And it's the first session, the first part of it, recovering ourselves, joining, being one with our awareness, being one with our states of consciousness, coming out of the mind. Because the mind is what allows you to experience fear. When you're a child and you brought, I don't know, say a scorpion was brought towards you or something like that, and you're a baby, you have no memory or understanding of what that is. So there are many cases of particularly in places like India, where children have been seen playing with snakes and the snakes haven't harmed them, but the children haven't known that they're dangerous. So fear is something that is developed over time. In terms of, sorry, fear is the emotion that comes when our sense of self feels threatened. Either if it feels threatened psychologically, or if there's anger coming from it, or whatever else it is. So when we are given fear on one side, you are automatically seeking security. So the fear of the virus makes you seek the security of the vaccination. But the body is a self-healing system, as we have been telling you. So we are coming kind of halfway through a process where we are now able to look at ourselves perhaps with a different lens that's based not on words we've read, but on our experience of our meditation and so on and so forth, and our knowledge. Now we need to move from this space to reclaiming our authority, to reclaiming our sovereignty, to reclaiming, and what do I mean reclaiming? Who are you reclaiming it from? You're reclaiming it for yourself because you do not realize that it has been given with your consent. Your consent has been manufactured over years in order for you to give it. So people give their consent to religious figures. And these religious figures that we are going to be facing their downfall. So we will see many systems that will try and hold on to their system of control. And these include religions, all religions. These include politics. These include governments. But all of these structures, so we are sharing this with you because it is better to know what is the possibility of our future events, not so we are better prepared, but it doesn't come as a shock. We are able to do our own research between now and whatever the next crisis is manufactured in order to maintain this fear. So remember, the fear thing has been going on for years. So it was the war on drugs, then it was the war on terrorism. Now we are being terrorized by an invisible enemy, a virus. And have any of you seen one? Have any of you actually gone down and read and found the scientific papers on what this virus is about? Do we even know what a virus is? Or is it just like the old days, if someone was in a religious garb and they told you, ah, yes, God lives in that tree, you would believe them. So you got a bunch of people in their white suits telling you, here, this is a virus. How much research have you done about yourself? How much research have you done to find out what do they mean by a virus? What is a virus? Have you done that? And you may discover that actually what we are being told may not be exactly what those who have the integrity to be honest and have done their work out of integrity. you will find that a lot of the narrative out there does not match. Why doesn't it match? Because a lot of it is propaganda. So we have now doctors coming out stating openly that they've signed death certificates, not knowing if the person died from COVID or not, but because they were told. So, how can you rely on figures and data which isn't factual? Are you really, are we that gullible that we don't question? Well, this is what belief systems do. They allow you to adopt a truth because someone else is telling you. And this is just being led down the garden path. What will you have to show at the end of your life? What will I have? Now, when I say you, I include myself in it as humanity. What have you got to show for your life? And if we look over the last 200 years, yes, we may have technology, but we have created this whole environment into a garbage dump. All the water that industry has touched is poisoned. All the forests that industry has touched have been decimated. All the wildlife that industry has tried to protect. Why do we need protection? Why do we need to protect wildlife that has existed for thousands or hundreds of thousands of years? Because everything we have touched with this motive of greed, with this motive of profit, believing that money is the source of our happiness. Well, my friends, life is going to show us a very different lesson. And it is apparent. Why is it apparent? It's simply because if you have the ability to see how egos evolve, how egos react, if you know the nature of the mind, you can see the progress. So we saw how fear, if it wasn't dealt with in the right way in those early days, it will start becoming frustration, irritation, anger, conflict, substance abuse, feeling lost, feeling insecure, feeling vulnerable, feeling unstable, and all of this rises as anger. So as we go into June, July, I would expect, from my understanding of human psychology, that the anger will become more and more promised and more prevalent. So this is a time, and as people begin to realize that a lot of this has been mismanaged, I wouldn't be surprised where people direct that anger and try and look at it from a constructive space and say, no, it's about time we held the governments responsible. It's about time we held the media channels responsible. And perhaps we may get movements of people who begin to sue them in order to balance things out, to get some justice. In order to get freedom, and I'm not talking about freedom in terms of I can wear a bikini on a beach freedom. Not that I would, but what I'm saying to you is that freedom isn't just about I can do what I want to do. The freedom comes from knowing what you are, not what you believe or what you have been cultivated to believe you are. Right? Spiritual awakening can only begin on our encounter with that. It cannot begin in any other way. This is the golden way in. When we realize our mortality, we begin to take what we have with a little bit of gratitude, with a little bit of reverence and appreciation. And our arrogance, our greed, our all of those egocentric uh, um, behaviors, which are destructive to ourselves and everything else around us, begin to lessen, begin to lessen. So it's important that we recognize that this sense of self, other people are not evil. We, every one of us, has the same capacity. And unless we become free to look at ourselves, free to question reality, free to question the narrative, free to think for ourselves, we are not free. We are not free. We are bound in the prison of our ego and the prison of our self image. And this is because you care what other people think. You care because so and so said it's wrong for you to go and hug your mother. It's wrong for you to go and comfort someone who may be dying or lost someone. It's wrong because other people's, in this case, government, backed by scientists, backed by the fear of death. This is what prevented us or prevented people who were torn apart, seeing their loved ones dying and they couldn't comfort them. We were torn apart. Why? Because what the other thinks and the other says becomes your prison. So this is how fear is used to control. And once we give up this, once we go through this, so let me tell you a story. So there was this very wise man, and as he was on his last legs, his disciple asked him, how did you find your way to the truth? How did you overcome fear? How did you overcome? Because fear is always a barrier. How did you overcome that? And he said, well, a dog taught me. And he said, how did a dog teach you? And he said, well, there was this dog, very hungry and very thirsty, dying for a drink of water. And every time it would come towards this pond, it would see its reflection and cower away. And he did this for days until he couldn't contain it anymore. So one day he went to the pond, saw the reflection, and instead of thinking it was another dog, jumped into it. And as soon as he jumped into it, it disappeared. This is how we deal with fear. We see it for what it is, and then we jump into it. We jump into it. We can only do that either with courage, or we can do that if we are grounded in our awareness and we recognize that fear is telling us something. We learn from it, and then we don't live in it. The difference is those people who meditate will recognize that. They know what the fear is telling them. They act on what it's telling them, and they get out. Those people who don't meditate, don't understand how the mind operates, will be consumed with the fear. It'll go into anxiety, fear, and then that over time will become anger, like you're hearing now as a result of the inequality. Okay, so are we ready to connect? So once again, we're going to use mantra frequency medicine. And as I say, fear is, as I've said before, fear is really the fear of loss of life, loss of health, loss of this, loss of that. But you'll notice that actually none of these things are in your control. Your life isn't in your control. Your health is, provided you take certain levels, but again, you can't determine that you will always be healthy. So even that is not in control, but we can create the conditions for it to remain optimal. So breath isn't in control, heartbeat, and so on and so forth. Now, if we recognize that everything is a flow, and that's the nature of today's meditation, we're going to recognize the flowingness of everything, that everything has the start, middle, end. We're still going to use the mantra. Why we're going to use the mantra? That as we keep going on, I will add little bits of information about the mantra, and you will see how incredible the use of the mantra is, not on our just on our health, but it helps us in this life, and it will help us in any other transition from one state to another, whether that is consciousness change or whether there is between life and not life. Okay, so shake your shoulders, close your eyes, and close your mouth. And as you breathe in, bringing your focus to your body, notice the physical physical body itself. Notice where you're sitting. Notice the sensations that run down your legs from your thighs to your knees, knees to your ankles, all the way to your feet. Notice that the back is straight and upright, your shoulders are relaxed, your arms and your hands are comfortable. Notice that your eyes are closed, and bring your awareness to the darkness that you can see. So you have awareness of the fact that your eyes are closed. Why? Because you can see darkness. So I want you to bring your focus to what you can see, even though your eyes are closed. And this awareness, you can gently take it all the way around your head, all the way to the back of your head. So you can become aware of the back of your head, so to speak. Now bring this awareness to your mouth and begin to notice the sensations that you can sense within your mouth. Now allow it, scan it from the bottom all the way to the tip. Notice the sensations on the roof of your mouth, your inside cheeks. Allow your jaw to drop and relax. And see if your face is relaxed. Allow it to soften. And again. Notice anything dominant in your body. Bring your focus to your chest. Take your awareness out. On your next breath, begin to listen to the sounds around you. Notice that there are some sounds that may be close to you, and there are some sounds which are much further away from you. And all of these sounds can only exist within the silence that is at the end of this bell. Silence. Now bring your focus just beneath your nose. Draw a slow, deep breath in. Hold and relax. Hold your focus just beneath your nose. That's your intention. Allow the breath to breathe by itself. No need to control it. Watch the in-breath as it comes. When you're ready, I'm going to ask you to draw a slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale out, you're going to say the sound Soham. Allow it to go with your breath as long as you can. So when you're ready, draw a slow, deep breath in. And so listening to the sound as best as you can. And again, so and again, so coming back to your breath. Now notice what's going on in your body, if anything. Notice how you feel. Next, we're going to bring the focus to our, and we're going to simply whisper Soham to ourselves, but this time only we can hear it. So once again, deep breath in. And again. And once again. Coming back to your breath. And again, just noticing it in your internal climate. Now I'd like you to bring and begin to listen to your breath. Listening to the in-breath as it comes in, listening to the out-breath as it goes out. Notice that there's a sound, that the in-breath begins, sounds different to the out-breath. See if you can notice that. And now, if you can, on your breath in, within your own mind, say the sound so. And as you breathe out, in your mind, saying the sound hum. The sound should accompany the breath. If the breath is long, the sound is long. Saying it within your mouth, in your mind, and being able to listen to it, hear it. And now, very gently, with every breath out, begin to lower this volume within your mind. You still sing so and hum with the breath, but you gently begin to take the volume down. Listening as intently as you can. Allow it to go as deep as it can. Even when it just becomes like a pulse. Listening, listening intently. And you might find that your focus has now gone all the way down towards your belly button. Listen, we follow the sound of this bell to take us into the silence from where we can listen to the so and the hum. Listening from the stay with it. Notice how timeless this moment feels. Grounded in the here and now. Anchored to the mantra. And this anchor the very core of your being. For now, it's not the breath that's making the sound so hum, but you can hear it deep within yourself. And we're going to follow the bell once more, and we're going to go into that silence and just listen, just for a minute or two. Notice there's no fear here, there's no anger, but there's a sweetness, there's a calmness, there's a peace, and there's a sense of being settled, safe, grounded. Gently bring your focus back to your body. Notice that you can sense your body. You can sense the sensations where the body makes contact with the chair or the floor. You can sense your thighs from your knees all the way down to your ankles and your feet. Noticing that your back is still straight, your shoulders, arms, hands are relaxed and comfortable. Your eyes are still closed, your mouth is still closed. And your breath is breathing by itself. And your face is relaxed. Breathing in, you sense your body. Breathing out, you sense your body. What words would you use to describe your experience? Acknowledge it to yourself. Acknowledge that you created this within yourself. Give thanks to this moment. Give thanks to this opportunity. Smile at yourself. When you hear the bell, use this bell to draw a few deep breaths in, and in your own good time, gently opening your eyes. Take your time. Gently opening your eyes when you're ready. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. May you be safe. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the Flame for hosting. The Flame is going to be running a workshop this Saturday on anxiety. So if anyone is interested, please support the Flame Center and make use of this opportunity. In the meantime, I bid you fair good night. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru